Good morning, friends. Look who's here. DEMIREP, also known as Grannyopterix, a wonderful person on wonderful lady on YouTube, and I enjoy her video casts, video blogs, whatever they call it. So, Demi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I only had one person whose real name I didn't know, and nobody knows his name. His name is Crazy Russian Dad, and check him out too. He'll give you some wisdom about the Russian ways of life in Russia, in America during the Soviets. He's a younger man, but he's very passionate and very popular. And I think after we spoke, his popularity went up, and my popularity just started because it was one of my early videos. But he's a fantastic man. He lives in, I believe, in the Boston area.
Oh,
So, Crazy Russian Dad, your source of knowledge of everything, how Russians feel, and it's good humor. He's exhilarating.
I've written it down.
Good. So we wanted to talk about humor today. It's very hard. I when the all the social contracts are broken. Do you feel like that in the UK?
What do you mean by that?
I mean that our government is governing as if they were hired to destroy this country. You
Do you
cannot
know,
think of anything. If they
I,
would like to destroy it, they wouldn't do anything different.
I made a video, a couple of videos back, in which I actually said people are getting the idea that the government isn't on their side,
You cannot.
whatever political color it is.
I don't know, but they don't do anything good even for themselves. I cannot believe those people are that stupid, but they are clearly self-destructive. This like worn off metaphor as drunk on power. It's like the behavior of an alcoholic who doesn't know that he's destroying himself.
Well, no,
They don't
I,
enjoy the drink anymore.
in in what way does that have to do with humor, though?
In what way? I'll tell you.
Go,
I'll tell you a joke that I
all right.
wanted to tell you, and I didn't tell you beforehand. What joke would that be? Because no, it has to do with the joke, which is the universe in our eyes. But some days it looks like that. But the joke is about the bathrooms, the public bathrooms, and someone wrote on the wall there saying that my mother made me a homosexual, and someone wrote below it, if I bring you some wool, can she make me one too? Took me some time to.
No, sorry.
It was about knitting.
Yeah, no. I
Yeah.
realized that. I realized that.
So
No, sorry.
and
Maybe it's just because I'm English, you know. Maybe
it's
that's a Russian
the
thing.
time difference. No, it's a
Time
Western
difference.
joke. Yeah.
There's a time difference. 5 hours later, I'm
Yeah.
going to get that joke.
Yeah. Yeah. I still crack up when
Can I, because you told me it was about humor,
yeah.
I started looking things up and I found something in the Daily Mail. Are you interested in me telling you about
Absolutely.
it?
That's what I do in the morning. I start with Daily Mail. I used to start with New York
D-
Times, but
Do you know this really, I mean, this is off subject really, but I don't understand this. The Daily Mail is a British paper, and yet I see Tim quoting it all the time, and you're telling me people read the Daily Mail in America.
I know the
And
secrets.
go on.
It's real journalism. They
Oh,
are really people who want to be first in business. And they don't care about the bloggers and don't steal stuff from other people's comments. They don't expect that people would read Daily Mail because of like tons of comments after a worthless article about nothing, and people start commenting, and it's the business model for since internet started, since newspapers went online. They publish stuff, they throw it out so people would comment underneath, and that would save them the resources in hiring journalists.
Okay. All
People comment
right.
from all over the world.
They have done some campaigns which I very much approve of. Yes, I mean, they're considered a slightly budget newspaper in England, in Britain, but I read it quite regularly. Anyway, I wanted to tell you about this. I've got the link here, but I can't. I don't see how I can pass it on to you. Anyway, what happened was this. There's a professor of some sort of art thing, and she was doing a Zoom meeting. And before the Zoom meeting, not during it, she was talking about the Meghan Markle and Harry interview with Oprah Winfrey.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what she said afterwards was that, there was a big fuss in Britain about how Markle was lying about things. So there was a huge fuss about it. And then there were some people who came in on Markle's side. And this is what that professor said. She said, some of the media commentators were of colourful disposition. Now, obviously, she was referring to the colour of the skin colour of the commentators. But it was not said in a vicious way. It wasn't calling for their doxing or bullying or anything like that. And what happened, and this, again, it was before the actual Zoom meeting, she lost her job.
No, that thing went so far, and it's so working against the intended results that they would like to achieve. Everything is working in this system of beliefs that's espoused in 21st century in the West. Everything is working against the result. It's extremely counterintuitive. Nature created lots of things, including the color of the skin.
Yeah, well, she was making a jocular reference to it, but I mean, yeah, there was an element of racial awareness,
Yeah.
if you like, there, but it wasn't really nasty.
Yeah.
And it was just a jocular reference, and it wasn't even a public one. But what happened was that the person organising this, she lost her accreditation as a professor. She was an honorary professor at Exeter University, and she was accredited to the Art Society, and somebody got wind of this comment she made and took her accreditation away. Well, that's the point. When you use humour, you very often slide very near the edge. That's the whole point. And there are two things you do with humour. You make people aware of their prejudices, and by exposing them, they can laugh at them, but they can also think about them. And the other thing is you make people look at themselves. And you can't do that because it's, even if she's taking this accreditation thing to court, but even if she wins, that's another situation where somebody will think, well, I don't want to get involved in
That
that.
kind of humor is not for me, they would think.
Well, it's not the humor, it's
They
the
would say, yeah,
consequences.
no.
And the point of humor is it makes you think of things. That's what it's supposed to do.
Mhm.
So you are actually stopping people of things.
No, and you can yell at people too, and they will laugh back. They wouldn't yell back at you because that's what a lot of comedians do nowadays. And I find a lot of comedians not funny because it's really they're treading lightly now on various topics. There is no George Carlin possible today or Don Rickles possible today. And Don Rickles was quite a fantastic comedian. He was of a genre insult comic, they called him.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And it's such fun. It took me some time to get comfortable with him, to be honest with you. But very few people I like more than on American stage than Don Rickles, and Al Jolson was also one of my favorites. And he's like the what they say, the how they call him, the most famous, or like number one.
Well, of course, I haven't heard much apart from him singing "Mammy," and that's very
Oh, you
PC
should.
now.
There is a wonderful album with his. I'm sorry, it's like inside baseball, so to speak. But there were a number of quite fantastic people in Hollywood who went very highly in their ambitions as musicians, and they settled just for stardom. And one of those musicians was Oscar Levant, a pianist who I think he was in American in Paris with Gene Kelly, the movie. He played a pianist. He always played a pianist. He was like number one man by the piano. So they recorded an album live. They performed live, and the recording was made of him and Al Jolson. And it's called "Thanks for the Memories." I think the album. It's available. You can download anything nowadays. So Al Jolson just takes to the task the composers of the time, and he shows how popular American songs written by Jewish guys from small shtetls mostly were stolen from famous composers like Schubert and Mozart, and there's just elements of music. And Levant went to study in Germany under Arnold Schoenberg, one of the classics of 20th century, the supreme avant-garde composer, and he just decided that he will go and play piano. Just quit this composing career, but he had a career in the movies. So it's a fantastic like musical lecture that Al Jolson did. So he was not just a guy who was just singing his heart out in blackface, standing on his knee, and he was very, very, very pro anti-racism.
Would that be on YouTube? Is that on YouTube?
I'll try and send you a file. I'll send you a file. I have
Okay.
an MP3 of this album, so I will send you a file so you can take a listen. But he would take grab musicians, black musicians who were of course racially separated, segregated from the white performers. And the Jews were not that higher, but still there was this definition, and they wanted to be a part too. The black musicians, I mean, they didn't want to mingle. They just were. It is a different story altogether. But he would take them in his car. He was very rich, one of the richest musicians of his time, performers of his time, and he would take them all over New York restaurants and treat them there. And there was a place that I was associated for a number of years called Katz's Delicatessen. I did PR for them, and it's the oldest Jewish place in the city, I would say, in New York City. And Al Jolson would bring all those musicians, including those who were like first ragtime composer U.B. Blake, I think was his name. He would bring them there. So nobody minded any kinds of jokes, whatever lifts your spirit. Somehow
Yeah,
we need
yeah.
your spirit up. I don't know. It doesn't look like it has on the surface. It doesn't look like it has anything to do with any religion, but people have this ability and necessity to cheer each other up.
Well, that's happening anymore, and you're just getting comedians. There are two sorts of comedians. There's the sort that goes round. I'm talking about Britain, of course. There's the sort that goes round the theatres. There are many theatres in Britain, in towns. I don't think there are quite so many in America. You can do performances in venues like university halls or football stadiums, but there aren't that many theatres. And most towns have at least one proper theatre. And you can, and there are comedians who do the rounds there, and they tell jokes that are considered politically correct. And then there's the comedians who appear on TV, and they're a completely different animal.
Yeah, and especially it's look at what happened with Chris Rock. That's already kind of history. And then David Chappelle later.
I was going to say, I don't like David. I don't like his material, but I can't see any reason for the fuss that they've built up about him. He was making jokes.
Yeah, and he's a smart guy, and
Yeah.
he a few years ago he went nuts. I mean, literally got mentally for a few months he got mental, and he removed himself from the circus, so to speak. And then he came back and gained a few pounds, and he came back strong. And I'm not a fan of his. As I said, I like the older guys. I like the also a few names. Young Robin Williams is good, and Johnny Carson is like a good guide. If somebody wants to get into American comedy, just find him on Johnny Carson, the Prince of Late Night shows, who started what was continued by, I think, pretty giftless David Letterman, and now
Gary Shandling.
Gary Shandling.
He was amazing. Absolutely amazing. I thought he was marvelous. I really would have liked to have met him.
Yeah, there's a lot of humor and in the American life, and guess what? We need it because life is hard, and people come here to. You see all those hordes of people. My heart really goes out. I wouldn't expect. Maybe it's my age already, but when people are walking like in hundreds, crossing Rio Grande, trying to get into the United States, and I don't know why there is such a rush because Title 42, they say, will be lifted. Maybe they know it differently. But the law that allows, the regulation that allows them to be sent immediately right away will be lifted. It was related to COVID. So they will be free for all. But now exactly now they rush. Maybe they know that it won't be lifted, or maybe they don't want to risk. I mean, talking about
I
freeze.
don't know. I don't know much about that. I'd have to read up
Yeah,
about
but
it.
to me, humor of the situation is that there is no newspaper in the world that wouldn't write anything about big bad America, and people are rushing to this country like never
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Uh,
Well, it's the same with Britain.
that's
We're getting people crossing the British Channel. That's a little wider than the Rio Grande.
no, absolutely.
And they're risking their lives to come to this terrible place.
Yeah, that's something that is this serious disconnect there. But it's tell me about life in England these days, because we open the newspaper, we turn on the TV. I do it from time to time. I watch it online or on whatever the Apple TV say. And life is unbearable. There is no baby formula in the United States. Gas is sky high. What else is the crime? This recent shooting, the mass shooting of this white guy who shot up 10 African Americans, wounded, don't remember how many, in Buffalo. Nobody's talking about the Chinese fella who came to a Taiwanese Chinese church and tried to shoot everybody up. I mean, I think that one of the wounded died. He's a doctor. So he was upset with the very existence of Taiwan, but nobody's talking about it because it's Chinese on Chinese crime. Doesn't count. Like black on black crime.
Well, there was a black guy who mowed down a load of people at a Christmas parade fairly recently, didn't he?
Absolutely.
And that was reported in the news and then buried rather quickly.
And he was like systemic guy. He spoke about it all the time, how he hates whites, and he
Mm-hmm.
targeted the women who were dancing, the dancing grannies. There was a group in this parade, and he went. I don't know, was it intentional or he did? There were some kids.
Well, he killed some children,
Yeah,
didn't
but
he?
it's hard to. And he was caught, and he was released.
He was released.
There is a new fad. That's why I'm saying, they got someone posted the bail for him.
He got bail.
Yeah, everybody gets either released or bail until the.
I can't even. I don't think anyone gets bail here if they're up on a murder charge. I'm not sure about that, though. But I have an idea that if you're on a murder charge, they're not going to let you out into society because you might be quite dangerous.
With all the things that we're talking about, I may be wrong, but I don't think he's in prison or in jail or in any form of detention right now. That I can tell you. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me double check.
Okay. Yeah, because that sounds
Mm.
particularly weird to me.
No, it's weird. There with every moment in New York, there was a rule they really got down with bail. I work not recently, but most of the time I work in courts, and I deal with bail situations, and I will deal with legal aid society attorneys who come to bail out the small, like driving violations,
Yeah.
family. I mean, for some it's big. For those who participate, who are part of it, like family violence, that type of deal. So I know how it goes, and usually they don't let them out until they figure out who these people are. That used to be the rule. Now
Yeah.
they're in, they're out, and here's your date in court, and God knows where those people are at the moment. помню.
Have you found him?
No, I'll find it. I was
Okay.
chatting. Waukesha, Wisconsin is the.
Well, what goes on in Britain is it's a lot more difficult to kill people en masse because you can't get hold of guns so easily. They're legal, but they're more controlled. So you can't walk around with a gun or anything like that. And so there's less of a gun culture in general. And there are some criminal areas where there are guns about. We have our own gas supply, so we're not feeling that sort of a pinch.
Yeah, it turned out that the Russia is threatening left and right, threatening countries.
Yeah,
Turn off the lights, turn off the gas, turn off the oil, and
yeah.
doesn't it say to everybody what they need to know about the nature of this conflict? Because everybody's saying let Russia kind of devour Ukraine, and that's their brotherly love expressed this way, and don't interject and don't inject yourself in the situation. And to me, we all find it weird in the Russian speaking community here. We are the Jews with the Russians, the Ukrainians on the American side. And when they say, even the conservatives, of course, they cause this panic, and it's absolutely no joke. They cause this panic that we have to stop doing it. We don't have enough money ourselves, obviously, because we voted in the wrong people, and
Well,
they do crime all day long. Our government.
is that really the feeling? You're in New York and
Yes,
you're in a
in
certain
Brooklyn, in
community, aren't you?
South
A
Brooklyn.
community of Russians,
Yes.
yes? So
Mm.
is that what the community of Russians in New York really feel?
Yeah, and I can tell you more. There is a flag above your head. If you can see, there is a flag with white, blue, and white. You see
Yes.
a
Oh,
bunch of
that's
flags
the
there.
Russian flag that's been reconfigured
Without Putin,
without the red.
without the red. Yeah, that's the same. No,
Yes.
he's in jail. I was wrong. He complained as of January, as of April 1st. Daryl Brooks, 40 year junior like Biden, 40 years old. He's in jail. That conditions are bad. Nobody gives him any respect in jail. That was the letter that was.
Well, my heart bleeds for him.
What a scumbag!
Yeah.
What a terrible person! And there's this sense of next Tuesday I'll have a conversation with my friend, who's an immigration attorney, but he's very competent in extremely competent. He wrote a book in Russian about the U.S. Constitution, and
Hmm.
he will discuss the collective guilt. And the Jews have this feeling of the responsibility for the community, and
Yes.
that's
Yes.
the thing. And there was also a joke. Who told me this? Oh, it's one the famous Russian language writer and commenter who was on my program too, Mikhail Veller, and he said this joke that there is the tourist group in hell, and the attendant to the big cauldrons gives them a tour, and they come to a cauldron, a big pot, with all the possible locks and latches on it, and he says, "Who's in it?" Oh, he says, "You gotta watch them. Those are the Jews. One comes out, he takes everybody out." So they move on. They come to the next cauldron, the next pot that's open. There is a line. Don't come out. The line on the cauldron inside it, people are sitting inside. Water is boiling or whatever, oil is boiling, and there is a line there. Do not cross this line. They're sitting. And can you guess who those people are? No, those are Germans. You don't
Germans.
have to. That's all you do. You just give them the order, and they follow. You say it's a rule. They'll follow the rules. So they move
Okay.
on to the next one. Next one is open. Absolutely.
Yeah.
No guards, no nothing. And who are in this one, they ask. So, oh, those are Russians. If one tries to come out, the rest pull him back in.
I remember a Russian once. This was before the disintegration of the Soviet Union. He said that it's different if you're in, and we were as English. If you see a guy driving a Rolls Royce, and you see him go past, you think, oh, one day I'd like to have a Rolls Royce. But in Russia, if they saw somebody in a, whatever the Russian equivalent of a Rolls Royce is, the people would just want to blow it up so they don't have the Rolls Royce.
Yeah, it's a Bentley, Russian equivalent of Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
No, they have all of it, and that I must say there's truth to it, because when I was in Soviet Union in the early '90s, and every country started, every former republic started this national liberation, sort of that form or other. So a lot of Russians thought of going back to Russia,
Mm-hmm.
and they would get their money out of everywhere, and they would go there, and they would buy a little house in the countryside. And the Russian countryside is very different from
Yes.
British countryside.
Yes. Oh,
So
yes.
they would have the houses burned often by the locals, because they didn't want people. Although they were Russians speaking the same language, and I had my own experience, because my wife's mother, my mother-in-law, she decided to move from Uzbekistan to Belarus. So she got a little house in the countryside nearby city of Slonim, a famous Jewish place. She's not Jewish, but it was so happened that she bought this house, and
Mm-hmm.
we were going there for, I think, 30 years every summer. Our daughter
Mm-hmm.
loved it. She played with animals, and we kind of helped her to build, say, toilet inside the house, which
Yeah.
was a good thing. And I was I made run of my English language, because I was doing things there. I have no name for it. I was herding the cows. Once,
Well, that's all right. Yeah. Good. Good.
that's good.
That's what you
Then
do with cows.
yeah, no, I know the words. I had to mow the grass to turn it into food to get it dry and feed the cow. There was a
Okay.
cow on site, so there were some ducks, and it was very interesting to talk to people there. And I visited homes. They invited me, and I saw old British machinery there from like end of 19th century. Believe it or
Oh,
not,
really?
yeah, that they used through this whole First World War and Second World War, and up until now it was working. It's just to cut
You mean the farm machinery?
farm machinery,
Yeah.
yeah, that they had since I don't know, it was Poland, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish I would see a lot of things that were there, but we had no transportation to speak of. Everything was by bus, and there's no car there. But it was interesting how much stuff that was left in the in the woods there since Soviet army moved out.
Hmm.
And when we were building this toilet, we discovered there is some titanium pipes, like long, like 5-6 meter long, lightweight. So we brought them from the woods. They were abandoned there, so we brought them from the woods and we built the sewer for the
Out of
toilet
titanium.
out of titanium. Yes,
My goodness me, you could have made an aeroplane of them.
anything you can make anything out of titanium. So that
Oh, by the
was
way, may I change the subject
sure,
briefly?
sure, anytime.
Because there's a video blogger called Bald and Bankrupt. Have you heard of him?
I should have, judging by his name, but I I have not.
He was traveling. He travels around Russia. He's English,
Hmm.
but he speaks perfect Russian by the looks of things, and he just hitchhikes and gets buses and things around Russia.
Hmm.
And what he did, the latest video I saw, he went to visit. He was in Tajikistan,
Hmm.
and he went to visit an Uzbek enclave called Soch.
Okay.
Have you
So,
heard of it?
Soch kind of rings a very, very remote bell.
It's apparently it's in the middle of Tajikistan. I didn't look up where it was, but it is Uzbek there, even though everyone in there is Tajik.
Hmm.
And they took him there. They fly 3 times a week from wherever it was to, and they flew there in an Antonov, you know, the biplane, 2 wings.
Oh, that one, Antonov 2, right?
Well, I don't know the numbers, but they had to fly in this Antonov to stop. I just wondered if you'd heard of it. I thought, that's funny. I'm going to be talking to Юра any minute now, and here we've got this Uzbek enclave that I'm learning about. Sorry, that was just
it's interesting that you brought it up, because in Uzbekistan the people were like tribes. They were not really compact, and various tribes, various clusters of peoples live in Central Asia. And when borders were established during the Tsar times in 19th century, when the Russian Empire took over what was called then Turkestan.
Oh, Turkestan, right?
It was one big chunk of land. And then in 1924, when Soviet Union got established officially, 7 years after the October Revolution, as they call it. So they would Stalin would make borders, and borders were very voluntaristic, as they call it. So if you think about Samarkand and Bukhara, cities in Uzbekistan that are famous for being in Uzbekistan is famous for having Samarkand and Bukhara. You come there, most like 99% of the population are Tajiks.
They
It's
are.
really, really like the Tajiks through and through. And Uzbeks live in Kazakhstan, because the border is right by Tashkent, by the capital. And Kazakhs live not so many in Uzbekistan. So it's all mixed and rarely matched, because people keep to themselves. And also, when the Soviet Union broke up, there were those riots, those killings, those massacres in places
Really?
where Kyrgyz would go against local Turks from Caucasus, because another thing about this part of Central Asia, Tashkent in particular, although all the cities were kind of not free of this element, it was a place of exile for a long time.
Exile. You mean
Exile.
The Russian Empire would send inconvenient people
Not
there?
empire, the communist empire would do it.
Oh, the communist. So it wasn't. It's later, right?
So some writers who are considered classics were there. Some great writers visited, like Anna Akhmatova or Sergei Yesenin, poets. They would be there as part of the travels, because the area is very attractive to people who know the history. And unfortunately, we didn't know much of the history. We knew that there were those monuments, and we would go there and we would admire what everybody else is admiring, but without much knowledge of where it came
Hmm.
from. And the Tamerlane is buried in his tomb is in Samarkand. And the legend goes that when the archaeologists opened it, the the Great Patriotic War, as they call it, it was June 22nd, 1941, when Hitler attacked Stalin.
Hmm.
And that's of course the just a legend. I don't know if you're familiar with the works of he lives in England,
Who?
Victor Suvorov.
No, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know who Tamburlaine was, and I know about Tamburlaine. Christopher Marlowe, a
Hmm.
British playwright of the 17th century, he wrote a play about Tamburlaine
Hmm.
being this awful, cruel marauder.
Yeah.
I wasn't. I was very surprised when you said his tomb
Mm.
was in Samarkand. Really, is his body there, or is it just a monument?
It's a big it's a mausoleum for him, and they found there was a famous Russian archaeologist and specialist in restorative whatever. So he was one of his name was Gerasimov, as far as I remember. Uh,
Gerasimov.
Gerasimov.
I know that
He
name.
restored from he developed some technique to of restoring the person's look out of the skull.
Ah, yes,
So he
yes.
restored. I guess they found the skull there. The episode that I was describing. So out of his skull, they restored his appearance. Tamerlane, and Tamerlane became the national hero of Uzbekistan. Although they removed the monument to Karl Marx that was in the center of the city of Tashkent, and they put Tamerlane there. Although they say that no person killed more Uzbeks than Tamerlane did.
Yes.
So that was the search of national identity. Sometimes goes extra mile into the darkest alleys. I would
Yeah,
say.
well, Mongolia have like a 100-foot statue of Attila the Hun, haven't they?
Yeah, I haven't
It's
been.
just gigantic, this gigantic statue, and everybody's doing that. And in Ukraine, they made a hero of a World War II Nazi, didn't they? Can't remember. It began with a B. Bandera.
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 The thing
Yeah.
is that this Nazi he spent time in Sachsenhausen.
Yeah.
He
No,
he was.
I'm not saying. Yeah, I look. I'm not saying he was the full.
No, no, no.
But he was definitely aligned with them to at least to start with. But I mean, I'm not complaining about that actually. Everybody wants to get a national hero. Everyone wants a focus. So Tamburlaine was a murderous monster, and Attila the Hun was a murderous monster, and Banderas wasn't such a nice bloke either.
Oh, yeah.
But that's in history now, isn't it? And
And
people
Russia
want
is
to.
worshiping Stalin.
And there's
So,
or Lenin.
so Lenin, of course, Lenin is. That was interesting. My friend who was in London, with whom I speak on Tuesdays, he remembered there was when they built this mausoleum. Speaking of jokes, Lenin, the early wooden mausoleum. At one point, Lenin's body was already in there, entombed, but it got the sewer broke out, and it was flooded with crap, this whole thing. And this privately, patriarch, I think was his title. He was not killed at the time, and he said that this is the incense befitting the relics, uh, along those lines. And for this, he was killed, eventually arrested and
Really.
yeah, and killed. So that was.
Hmm.
Something. But this book of Victor Suvorov, I would be happy if more people read it, because
Savorov.
Suvorov, yeah, he's a defector. He used to work for KGB in Brussels, And he's still alive, and he's on YouTube, and you can hear him in Russian. He reads the book
Ah,
in Russian.
that's my little
Yeah, I know it's translated. It's you can
Ah.
find it. It's translated. It's a bestseller in Russia, and I would say it should be worldwide. It was written quite some time ago, but he was a specialist in open source intelligence. And he reads
What does that mean?
it means that he reads a regular newspaper, regular book.
Ah,
It doesn't require any spying. No
right.
spying involved. He makes his conclusions based on what he reads, and it's a highly analytical. It's more complex than spying, even, because you have to have the capacity.
You just read a lot of stories and then you piece together
Yeah,
the thing that's behind
yeah,
them.
pretty
Yes.
much like what we do, because we don't have any. We have some spies, but we cannot talk about it, I assume. So so his thing, the Suvorov story, is that Hitler and Stalin, they were both socialists, as everybody
Yes.
knows now,
Oh,
right?
yes, for sure. Yeah, that's
So
right.
Stalin, nobody talks about the Soviet Union having the biggest army in the world in the 30s, the biggest army, 5 million people, and he wanted Hitler to do the heavy lifting and go and conquer Europe, and then he will kill Hitler. That was the plan. It's detailed.
That was his. He actually did have that plan.
Yes, and he gives you numbers, he gives you documents, he gives you everything that you can easily verify, and he starts with, and I think it's not like a trick, a writer's trick. He starts with the book was the apology of sorts. It's not an apology; it's beyond apology. He says that I'll have to destroy my family. Hates me for it. I ruined my relations with a lot of people, because for Soviet people, something that was sacred was this: Hitler attacked us on June 22nd, 1941, and we were heroes, etc. I have to demolish all of that. And
Well, but Hitler did attack.
say again, he did attack, but it was something that Stalin thought of doing it before him. He let him go. That's why the book is called Icebreaker. He wanted to use Hitler as an icebreaker who would
Right.
conquer Great Britain, who would conquer France and the rest of Europe, and then he will get him from behind, so to speak. So,
but how did he think he was going to do that?
Huge army, a lot of
just waves of people.
And also Hitler was very dependent on Soviet Union.
So, the oil, yes.
The oil and the bombs that they were getting, they were throwing. They bombed London with bombs that were made of Russian steel, of Russian metal, and the ore. I
didn't know that.
There's a famous anecdote, you can say, when the ambassador Schulenburg was an ambassador or something, some attaché in Moscow, and he said at some banquet, dear Comrade Stalin, if I may ask, if I may approach, if I may open my mouth, you give us, you sell us the ore, and the ore is like 10% iron, and the rest is garbage. So can we get some higher grade? He said, yeah, we'll change the order. You will get like 2% ore now. So he was behaving towards Germans like he was. I'm not saying either one was a good guy, but he was behaving like a really like a dictator, and someone who's really running the show. And the Germans gave Soviet Union every piece of technology. They opened everything to Soviet Union. Every plane they got, three most advanced German planes to play with, to recreate, to take them apart, to see how they can shoot them up. So they got utmost support. You cannot.
Do you know, I did know that when Germany was supposed to be demilitarized, they were building up stocks in Russia.
And they went for training. They went for training.
Yeah, they went for training, and there was stockpiles of materiel that they were building up, and I knew about that. And I also thought that my impression was that Hitler had was sorry, by his lights. He was forced to attack Russia because he was running out of oil. And he thought if he didn't do it then, even though they weren't really ready, then they wouldn't have enough oil to do it, enough fuel to do it ever.
Yeah.
That's what I heard about this attack. I didn't realize that part of it might have been that he had the idea that maybe he was going to get taken over by Russia. Because if they were talking like that, then the Germans must have had the idea that they were going to end up a client of Russia.
That too, and also that reflects what happened this year with Ukraine, because they seized an opportunity. They saw that they have to do it now. The Germans did, and just like Putin saw that if there is a chance that Biden believed that there will be limited incursion, as what he kind of said I mean, he exactly said this, not kind of. He said that if there will be limited incursion, we won't interfere. So Putin got his 2 or 3 days to initiate, and then he realized that he can go further. So why not? Why not? And he did what he did. That's how it all started, out of this sloppiness and this criminal neglect, I would say, and incapacity to piece together things. But that's what we have today with our.
You're talking about the Biden
I'm talking about the
administration.
Biden administration,
Yeah.
who was.
Yeah.
How can you talk about? Now they're saying that they knew about what would be happening in the fall, and
Yeah.
what exactly did you do to prevent it, to stop it? Just, it's all lies. It's all lies. What they're saying, they open their mouth.
But
Lies.
yeah, they shouldn't have given Putin permission in that way. But the fact is that the Afghanistan circus didn't exactly wouldn't give anybody the idea that there was a professional army there being led by professional people. And then you've got General Milley sitting there talking about, I don't know what, white rage or something, I'm quite sure that Putin thought that America had completely gone soft in the head.
Yeah.
And this was a good time to do it.
And America, frankly, gives every reason to think so, because they only see their mistake, their gain and their loss and their defeat is in the fact that they judge this country by the news we produce. They judge this country by what they see on CNN, by what they see on Fox News, at every channel. You cannot do it because you have a group of people who push their interests. I don't know how it came to be. I mean, I know the mechanics. I know the intervention of the professors in the universities like Howard Zins, etc., etc. But altogether, it came to become absolutely worthless. And Putin looks at it, and it reflects part of this 16% of American population who thinks that Biden's doing a great job today. Can you believe it? 16% thinks that the country's on the right track.
But let's face it, they did come across in the end. I mean, they gave permission for the mess to happen, but they didn't drop the ball when it was thrown at them.
You're talking about?
I'm talking about the aid they're giving Ukraine now and the strength of purpose they are showing. I'm no fan of Biden. I think my personal opinion is that he's probably a crook and that he's surrounded by crooks. But they are actually coming across now, aren't they? They are providing a lot of very good equipment to Ukraine.
Not enough, unfortunately, at this point.
You don't think so?
Yes, and also the bill got stuck. This Lend-Lease document was $40 billion. They had to put a lot of pork in it. You know the word pork in American political language. Of course, everybody knows it. It's like from 16 to $20 billion is for Ukraine in this bill. The rest is more masks, more hand sanitizer, speaking figuratively, fighting
Yeah.
COVID, building tents on the border, Mexican border,
Hmm.
that kind of deal that should be stopped differently. But they all try to steal there. That's why I'm talking about the compact. Nobody's arguing that Putler, as they call him now, Putler has to be stopped. But the way of stopping him is in America's boosting the oil production, the gas production, the liquefied natural gas, bringing
Hmm.
it to whoever needs it. And getting us back on track, because all they talk about is gas, gas, gas. They should shut up about gas. We're sitting on gas. We're sitting on lithium. We're sitting on cobalt. We're sitting on every possible. The rocks, the mountains. In the United States, they carry same minerals as everywhere and even more. Like
Hmm.
people travel to Africa to the Chinese build this mines, terrible mines where children are working to get to mine the cobalt and lithium for the batteries, for the watches, for the phones. We have everything here. We're just shooting ourselves in the foot, in the head, in the mouth, in the ear,
So why isn't it being uh, taken advantage of?
because of the regulations. Because we love our nature so much,
Oh,
and in Alaska there is those famous wildlife reserve, and now there are ways to extract oil or anything with most care, and you have control. If somebody's heart is bleeding, about the kids in Africa forced to work, here you can set up the robots and this and that and have everything under control. No kids will be working there. Everything will be unionized. Everything will be kind of vetted and medicated and whatever, and sterilized. So, but no, they just close it because it's just our Sierra Nevada or our other area where they have it. I went and looked when they started. There will be trouble, and the price for the electrics will go up for all the computers, because there is a problem. There are problems with bringing from those rare earth metals, they call them, right? Uh,
yeah.
Everything, we have everything here is just closed and out of limits, and they say it's to preserve our nature. So we're gonna live with nature. That's it. No gas, no.
There
But
was a pipeline, wasn't there, from
Canada,
Alaska,
yeah,
yeah,
from Canada,
through
from
to,
Alberta, and they're ready to do it. They said just whistle, as the Tom and Jerry, the cartoon. The dog says to Tom, to Jerry, just whistle. So uh, America says go, and they open the valve. They say, like, we'll get to capacity like 1 billion, whatever the oceans of oil a day. Just let us know when you need it. And the
mhm.
Biden just sitting on it. That's it. That's the crime. That's something. Some commenters say that he may be indicted for it. He may be impeached for it.
Do you have you any idea why he might? I mean, I could understand them shutting down that pipeline if there were environmental considerations and a situation where you're not that bothered about oil supplies. But right now, everybody's bothered about oil supplies. Turkey might have a revolution because of the rising prices of oil and transport and therefore food. I mean, it's happening all over the place. And so now it's what you might call a national emergency. And me that Biden's administration isn't getting off its bottom for it. So why?
National emergency was to close this line first day he was in the office on
I
January
remember hearing
21.
about that.
That's
Yeah,
that was national emergency. The rest is out of his hands. He's really what he Biden. He's a nasty old man, not entirely there in the attic, complete. The light is on, but nobody's home, and uh,
yeah.
and he's barely moving, and he's giving speeches that he doesn't know the meaning of. And Elon Musk said, I mean, it's not very original from our sophisticated point of view. What he said, I said the president is the person who's typing things on teleprompter. That's who the
Yeah,
president is.
that's what Musk said, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of not.
Do you remember? Oh, just a minute. Talking, we were going to talk about humour. Do you remember that joke about the last Tsar of Russia? And it was, who is the most powerful man in Russia?
No, I never heard it.
The most powerful man is in Russia is the last man who spoke to Tsar Nicholas.
Yeah, it was.
It's the man who spoke to Tsar Nicholas last.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I was just trying to think who was this person, and I think there was.
No, it's anybody. Whoever was the last one to speak to the Tsar, he's the one who's the most powerful one. I didn't tell that so well, did I? Sorry. Anyway, yeah, so that's the same thing that Musk is saying now, the person who's typing the teleprompter.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, he did more than that, and he showed he's becoming the enemy of the people here in the United States
Yes. They're
because of what
saying
he's doing.
he's a fascist now, isn't
He's a
he?
fascist, and it's fun to watch because he's doing he wanted to buy Twitter and this whole spiel, but it turned out that the apple is full of worms, and the Biden in particular, it's public, it's official. He officially has 22 million followers on Twitter, of which only 50% is true. The rest are bots.
Is it as much as 50? I thought it was more.
Number, I
Bots.
mean, the number was coming up, I think, growing, but I quoted at 50%.
Yeah.
It should be less, frankly, because there's nothing to read and there's no interest to what he has to say whatsoever in general public. And even those 16% who think that everything is fine, I don't think they're listening to or reading. But the thing is that the board that took some time to get talked into to sell Twitter. Now they say that Musk is obligated to buy it. He said he'll buy it.
They didn't want to sell it before, and now he's pulling out.
Now, yeah, and he said we're going to sue him. We'll enforce it. We'll this and that. Guess what? He has all the money.
Yeah.
That's how you win in court. You appeal, not because you buy judges or like in Russia or Uzbekistan or anywhere. You just appeal endlessly.
Yes.
You go for years until Twitter is not doing very well right now, and it will be doing even worse. And he will muscle them. He'll muscle them in any situation, because he revealed their malpractice. He revealed their thieving. They revealed their dishonesty is the least insult you can throw at what Twitter is doing and used to be doing, and how he will.
But I mean, anyone with their eyes open knew that the minute they stopped Trump from tweeting just before the election. It was quite obvious what they were doing then, wasn't it?
No, they became a tool, and they manipulated a lot of people. They became part of this picture that Putin was reading so well. He reads it. Okay, those people they want to tell the soldiers they got to look at each other in the privates, check out the gender, and the soldiers, the best army in the world, will be doing that. Isn't it a good time to do something about it?
Mm-hmm.
Why not? He's this kind of guy. He's this kind of guy. Demi, thank you so very much for this conversation. I apologize for having it such a. It's not exactly a word salad like a la Kamala Harris, but we touched upon a lot of things, and I think I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I told you after the last time we met, I felt like I'd been to a really good party.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed this as well. Thank you very much for having me on your channel.
Thank you. You have a great rest of your day, and I will go back mine.
Okay.
Okay. See you
Thanks,
soon,
Yura.
hopefully. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.